Thanks so much for joining us here on 9 News Plus. I'm 9 News meteorologist Chris Bianchi. So a question I've been getting left and right from my own fiance in full transparency and many friends, even some colleagues here in the newsroom. Have we had our last snow here in Denver? Have we had our last frost of the season? So I'm going to get into the specifics of this, and I will give you a firm answer and also give you a little insight as to what I advise my own friends and my fiance about this. So let's start things off with what we know. Now, Denver's average last measurable snowfall, what that means is 1/10 of an inch or more of snow in Denver. That average last measurable snowfall date, it's on April the 30th. I know. In fact, I'm going to come back on camera to this for a quick second. You're all thinking, well, a Mother's Day snowstorm, even a Memorial Day snowstorm, it feels like a rite of passage. Yes, but no. Yes, the last couple of years, we've had some very late season snowstorms. Those aren't as common as you'd think. So again, going back to this, our average last measurable snowfall date is on April the 30th. Now, if you look at spring from a wide perspective, the earliest last snowfall, in fact, going back to 1887, our earliest last measurable snowfall, March the 4th of 1887. I'll say this, my colleague meteorologist Corey Reppenhagen and I have talked about this. The weather records going back to the 1800s are a little sketchy, I guess the way to put it, because they used to only measure once or twice a day. In Denver now we measure 4 times a day, so there could have been measurable snowfall, and quite likely was measurable snowfall after March the 4th of 1887. So just take that with a little grain of salt. But it's worth noting that we can often have our earliest last snowfall, our last snowfall as early as late March or early April. That's fairly common. That can happen. We've just had a run of these May snows of late that might be, again, making us think that those snowstorms are a bit more common than they actually are. In fact, our latest last snowfall date was on June the 2nd of 1951. So we can get snow and even below freezing temperatures as late as the first week of June. Once you get past the first couple days of June, it's basically impossible, or about as close to impossible as it gets. Now, with that said, I was saying this, the last few years, we've had some of these very late spring snowstorms. In fact, May the 21st of 2019, that was one of our latest snows on record. That's when we picked up, you might remember this is 4 years ago, we picked up 4 inches of snow on May the 21st, a couple days before Memorial Day. And of course, last year, we also had snow as late as May the 22nd. So we can get these snowstorms this late in the season, but just, again, worth noting that we've just had a recent run of these. So with that in mind, our average last measurable snowfall date, as I mentioned, April the 30th. Now take a look at this. This is what our overall pattern is right now. Big ridge of high pressure. We are now late enough in the season. Today, of course, is May the 2nd, which is after that last measurable snowfall date, right? Our average last frost is on May the 6th here in Denver. Our average last 32 degree or lower temperature, again, May the 6th. So we got a big ridge of high pressure that's overhead. And what that means is we are now late enough in the season that we start looking at the weather forecast, that if you've got a pattern like this tends to lead to warmer temperatures, certainly less in the way of snowfall. I'll show you the 7-day here in just a second. And it makes it pretty difficult to get snow this late in the season. And these, by the way, this is called what we call an omega block pattern. This is a hard one to break down. So when we tend to get into this pattern, it tends to stay that way for a little while longer. And what that means is we're going to get some afternoon showers and storms. But if you might notice with this weather pattern, showers, storms, maybe some very, very high elevation snow above 10, probably 11,000 feet for us here over the next couple of days. This is a weather pattern that we would expect in June, July, or August, and we are locked into it already into May. So what that probably means is, and looking at that 7-day forecast, look at these temperatures. We don't have anything that drops below 43 degrees on our 7-day forecast. Now, quick math, next Tuesday is May the 9th. Then going past that, I was just taking a look at some of the long-term computer forecast models. You're going to May 10th, May 11th. And it's very rare to get snow. I shouldn't say very rare. It's not that common. Again, not as common as you'd think to get snowfall past May the 11th, May the 12th. In fact, over the last 30 years, we've only had snow in Denver after May the 10th in 7 of those 30 years. So just to repeat that, we've had snow in Denver in 7 of our past 30 May 11th or later. So again, it's not that common to get snow as late as mid-May. It feels like it because we've had a couple of those in the last couple of years. I know. You might be thinking in your mind all sorts of anecdotal examples. I'm just telling you the facts here, folks. And also, it is, of course, different for the Palmer Divide and the foothills above 6,000 feet elevation. Yeah, it's a different story. That said, let's say we are done with the snow for the season. So far, this season here in Denver, we picked up about 44 inches, our average season date, 47.8 inches. So it's basically been an average season so far in terms of snowfall, a little bit below average. Same for us at DIA. DIA is slightly above this. DIA is about 49 inches on the season. But point being, we've had about an average snow season for us along the Front Range. In some cases, probably a tick below. But to finally round things off here, should you should you open up your sprinklers this weekend? I'll tell you what, I'm going to do it. My fiance and I at our house, we're going to turn on the sprinklers this weekend. I put away one of the snow shovels that we've got into the garage. I'm just telling you what I've done as well. And of course, there's some risk to it. If I'm telling you on May the 2nd in Denver to go ahead and take care of your lawn or start planting and things like that, of course, I don't have to tell you that there's some risk. Have a tarp ready, be ready to bring in some of those plants on a snap of a finger, bring them inside, because come May 22nd, May 24th, May 25th, we can get snow, we can get below freezing temperatures as late as that. I'm just telling you, once you start getting to the middle of May, which it looks, I'm pretty confident at this point here, folks, that through May 10th, May 11th, May 12th, we're not talking about anything close to below freezing temperatures or any sort of snowfall. Once you get past that, it's pretty difficult to get snow here along the Front Range. Again, not impossible, and a lot of you, again, have a lot of these recent examples in mind, but those recent examples, those 2 of the last 4 years that we've had some of those wacky late May snowstorms, those are not that common. They're not as common as you'd think. It's more typical for us to have our last measurable snow, last 32-degree temperature around this time, around late April, early May. And looking at that forecast, again, 7 to 10 days, I don't see anything remotely close to a below freezing temperature. So my guess is, this is my guess, is that we're probably about 70% likely done with our last measurable snowfall here in Denver. I'd say we're about 65%, about 2 out of 3 good odds that we're done with our, slightly lower odds that we're done with our last 32 or below freezing temperature here in Denver as well. So just keep that in mind. Keep in mind those odds that, yeah, 65, 70% sounds pretty good, right? Just keep in mind that means there's still a 3 out of 10 chance that we could get snow, we could get below freezing temperatures still this season. That's not nothing. That's my rough guess based on climate data, based on the forecast, that we're probably done with the snow and we're probably done with those below freezing temperatures. But again, if you are going to go plant, if you are going to start doing some of that stuff, open up your sprinklers, just be ready for that possibility. And it's, again, a non-zero possibility that we still do have some more snow and some more below freezing temperatures for the rest of the season. But in the meantime, I'll tell you what I'm telling my friends. Our own 9 News Broncos insider, Mike Kliss, I interviewed him about 2 hours ago, and he asked me, should I turn on my sprinklers this week? And I said, I think you're good. I think you're good. So I'll tell you the same as well. So hopefully it gives you some good idea about what to do and what to expect. And again, I think we're probably done at this point with the snow and those below freezing temperatures. So just want to get that out there, and hopefully that data gives you a good idea about whether or not we're done with it as well. Once again, I'm 9 News meteorologist Chris Bianchi. Thanks for joining us here, and hopefully you can get that planting done without the threat of snow and below freezing temperatures.